Money was great in all denominations, but free money was the best. The kind that slipped into his fingers without ever needing to clock in. The kind that didn't require the daily sacrifice of spending precious hours commuting in rush hour traffic. The bread that wasn't earned from sitting through drawn-out days in an office while joining back-to-back Zoom meetings. The green that he took possession of within minutes instead of waiting on an automatic deposit every other week. For William Henry Sullivan III, that money truly was the best. Though Will enjoyed free money, he wasn't against the ideal of work. Every dollar he owned hadn't come into his possession without effort. It was simply that his efforts weren't traditional. Even easy money required some degree of work. For Will, the work was months of planning, study, logistics, collaboration that most recently culminated in one after-hours trip to a bank hidden by the curtain of night. With one safe-cracking expert on hand and a speedy getaway lined up, the deed was done within 30 minutes, and he, along with 4 other men, was thousands of dollars richer. Will smiled at the Benjamins peeking out at him from within the unzipped duffel bag sitting atop his grand piano. The crisp bills were his latest reward. There was something satisfying about stealing. Something satisfying about getting one over on people. Stealing had become his craft. It was a skill that had taken years to perfect. Ironically, his love for stealing had been discovered long ago during a quest for revenge. He was a sophomore at Woodward Boarding School when he did his first job. It was funny. Even in educational institutions that charged 6-figure tuitions and paraded excellent test scores, there were criminals in the making. He would never have discovered his untapped abilities if not for an arrogant football player named Walker Kensington. Walker had been looking to increase his dating pool and set his eyes on Will's girlfriend. After spreading a few colorful rumors, Will and his best friend Malcolm were dumped by their girlfriends, who then ran to Walker for comfort. Exhausted from being pushed around by others, Will and Malcolm knew payback was a must. However, the method of payback was undecided. Fights were too obvious, and opened a door for too much trouble, expulsion being top on the list. They wanted to get back at Walker, not make trouble for themselves. Opportunity for revenge presented itself when upperclassman Brad Larson entered the picture. He too had been slighted by Walker. Unlike Will and Malcolm, however, Brad was able to come up with the perfect plan for payback. For 3 weeks they strategized. Each one brought a different skill and outlook to remove the flaws from their plan. When the time came, it ran like clockwork, and they successfully stole Walker's Mercedes-Benz. They sold the car off to a professional car thief and earned some quick cash. The vehicle was repainted before it was released back onto the street to who knew who and who knew where. 2 months went by before Will allowed himself to finally exhale, at last convinced that they wouldn't get caught. It was then the pride of what they had done engulfed him. After that, he was hooked. The thrill, the challenge, the risks. Stealing was a crime designed for him. It needed planning, technique, intelligence, and, his favorite part, it didn't require that he physically hurt anyone. Will and Malcolm continued their petty crimes even after Brad graduated. Each job grew more complex than the last, as they learned their strengths. In college, Brad re-entered their lives and offered them a position to work with his team of skilled thieves. Together, they robbed their first bank, a job that took nearly a year to plan. A jewelry store followed the year after. That job left each of them with $250,000. The appeal of stealing only grew after Will graduated from college. His success as a thief, the money he had collected and had yet to gain, paved way for an entirely different future. Stealing meant not having to work his way up in some corporation. He could spend his days enjoying life while living in the luxury he had been born into. Above all, stealing would give him the freedom to walk away from his parents, especially his dad. he could cut him off completely and be free of his father's controlling ways. No more enduring his dad's tirades. No more hearing him say he was a worthless son who constantly failed. Will could finally be free of his dad's bruising right hook that had caught him in the face and stomach on several occasions. As a thief, he wouldn't need that man's money, connections, or name. He could declare his independence, and that was exactly what he did. He became Will Sullivan, the professional thief, a wealthy one who never got caught. He was good at what he did and took great pains to appear like an average, law-abiding citizen. His low profile protected him from investigators' suspicions. As an added bonus, he was still a rich man's son, and no one ever questioned a rich man's son having money, whether that son had a job or not. No one suspected a man born into wealth, who graduated top of his class with honors, was a thief. Will ran his fingers over the piano keys, eyeing the money once more with a smirk. He was the safest thief in the world.